What's up, good people? Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Hope you're all having a great day. Man, I tell you what, oh my Lord. I just got a phone call from Momo, and Momo is trying to explain the whole situation with, Hate Week, where he was saying, your streets are dirty, your women are ugly, they smell bad, and all that. He said, it's Hate Week, Trash Talk Week. And I was like, bro, if you want to talk about the Cowboys are ugly and the team is ugly, I said, that's cool. I said, you don't need to tell the women they ugly and shit like that, but it's all good. And I was letting them know, we all good, we're okay and all that. But then he started going in. He said, well, I really got it. He's like, can I talk to you about something? I'm like, oh, shit. What do you got to talk to me about? Because, Momo he's not short-winded, okay? And he was talking about the Commanders versus Kansas City. He said, I just don't know about this team. Now, keep in mind, he was talking, in the offseason about Jalen Daniels wasn't going to have a sophomore slump. He's out this week again. They already announced that yesterday with the hamstring. We don't know how long he's going to be out. He's been out more than he's been in. And he's sitting there like, he's like, I think the game with Kansas City going to be closer. He said, but it's not looking good. And he's like, I don't know about this team, man. He's like, we don't have that many draft picks next year. And, he said the head coach is a defensive-minded guy, and they ain't getting the help that they need for Jalen Daniels. And, these guys are old. You don't say. You don't say. Wow. I never knew, Momo. I never knew that your team was the oldest team in the NFL. The oldest by like a year. Not even close. You are the reincarnation of the Over the Hill gang. Yeah. Old as dirt. And yeah, the sophomore slump. It's real. And you can't just keep pulling players after players after players and thinking you can just throw them all together and be a great team. And that last year might have just been a one-hit wonder. Staying power, although here's the craziest thing about the NFL, especially this year. Would it surprise me if the Commanders beat Kansas City? No. Not in the least. Not even close. Wouldn't surprise me one bit. Would it surprise me if Kansas City mollywopped them and kicked their ass? No. I don't think anything could be a surprise after Denver scored 33 points in the fourth quarter. Now, Momo is, of course, saying, I don't think the Cowboys got a chance against Denver. That mile-high air is real. And I said, well, the good thing is Javonte Williams has played there and knows what to expect. And I said, the other thing for the Cowboys, I said, here's the one thing. And this may be a different way to look at football, too. When you think about the Cowboys have always had a top-heavy roster. They've always had a lot of really great Pro Bowl type players. Problem has been is once you get past that layer, they usually aren't really good. And so the problem is you don't have enough players to make it through with those guys always playing all the time. They can't. You just wear down. And by the time playoffs get here, they're usually worn down. Zeke Elliott's usually a shell of himself and things. Your running game's not there. Your offensive linemen are battered and bruised. Well, in some regard, you have to look at this and say, okay, the Cowboys' offensive line, some of those guys just got back. They're actually still relatively fresh. And you have guys who can rotate in And what worked well for this defense of no names, at least last week, one was that Washington was out 3 of their players. And two, they rotated a lot of guys in and kept people fresh. And if you can do that in the NFL and still not have a drop of play by rotating up other guys, then you're in pretty good shape. Hold up. That was Mama. I had to get to the phone because Mama on the call. Going to pick her up so we can get back to the Red Brick House. So all of these things matter as far as winning. And that's where I think the Cowboys, at least having quite a few players that are decent and having some depth will help them in the long run. I believe, and maybe I'm crazy, that as they go through the process of figuring out who should be here and who shouldn't be here, as far as on the defense, and start learning the system that they have, that they will actually be a better team on defense. In fact, I'll talk about it on the road here, but I think that what we're looking at could be a situation that's similar to what happened in 2014, where we lost DeMarcus Ware, Jason Hatcher, and Sean Lee, and they ended up coming around and becoming actually a defense that improved quite a bit from where they were. I think they were 31st, and they went to 17th as far as scoring defense. It wasn't great, but it was enough to get them within the catch, no catch away from beating Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs. So there's that. We got a chance. We always have a chance. All right, so I'm here at the Williamsburg Pottery Factory to pick up my beautiful bride. So I need to call her right now.